I haven't even done the episode intro yet.
No.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm just really out of it right now. That's why I'm drinking this V8. I'm just going to slam the rest of it real quick.
Chug,
because
chug.
it ain't going well for me right now.
Chug.
I actually shouldn't chug
Shot,
it.
shot.
Slowly chug.
So drink or sip?
Drink. Exactly is the word you're looking
Just
for,
drink,
Brian.
yeah.
So welcome to Afterbite. It's a Vampire Diaries fancast. It's only 10 years too late. Hey guys, we're back. It's episode 24. It's a Tuesday now. Look at us here on a Tuesday, on a weekday.
Things are different now.
Look at us
Things
go.
are a little different now, you guys.
Maybe things are different, but maybe we are also different. Maybe we're new now that we're on Tuesdays.
Yeah. Maybe, do we want to like bring in a little bit of different energy on Tuesdays, or the same stupid chaotic energy?
I don't think we could bring a different energy than stupid and chaotic if we tried. I'm going to be very real with you. Cool. I think this is the extent of our energy.
Yeah, sorry guys. If you wanted to like have like a different experience on Tuesdays, that's not happening.
No.
Ever.
It's the same experience, just on a Tuesday now.
But you know what?
And it's our...
Maybe. Because, you know, Friday, it's close to the weekend. You're living it up. And that's when like stupid chaotic energy thrives. But now we're on a Tuesday. All right. The weekend just finished a while ago, and you're getting close to hump day. While like on a Friday the stupid chaotic energy is like, woo, let's go. Maybe right now it's kind of like, oh, I need something to jumpstart me right now. And this is the exact way to jumpstart my Tuesday.
Episode 302, The Hybrid. Again, another The episode. We're back at it, folks. It's like we never left. It's still here. The. And, like, I get it, you know? Because there's only one hybrid.
But also...
Klaus. He's the hybrid.
But also... You guys can do better.
No.
You could have done better. You could have done better. Also, we are in the middle of like the first 3 episodes of season 3 have the titles. And so, you know, we're only halfway there, folks, only halfway through. So the Netflix description for this episode is Damon and Alaric reluctantly go along with Elena's new strategy to find Stefan, leading Damon into a dangerous fight with an unexpected enemy.
Pretty good.
But, like, also, much more Damon-centric than the episode actually was.
Yeah, this episode was not Damon-centric at all.
You're right. Yeah, it was like he came in, like, in the later half.
And also, like, he didn't willingly do anything. He was a stick in the mud the whole time.
That's, like, per usual with Damon.
As per usual with Damon
There's a
Salvatore.
lot of moments in this episode where it's like, oh, yeah, that's Damon for you. Not expecting anything less than that.
Also, the first 5 minutes of this episode have Damon talking to Elena and like burning down, you know, or burning up some of the like tracking notes and everything he got on Stefan. Damon does the thing where I think we can all agree his emotion is cocaine. His eyes are really wide for no reason.
It also happened last episode, and I was like, wow, he's really pulling off the lizard look, huh?
The lizard look.
My God.
It really does look like he is again, and we will say this until it is revealed that it is true, is that it looks like he's a lizard man wearing a mask of a human face.
Yeah.
That's the
and his eyes,
for you.
just like there's... Next Legacy's monster is actually just Damon Salvatore.
I would be here for it. Honestly, sounds accurate.
Season 3 gets real twisty, y'all.
Oh, can't wait.
So at the Salvatore house, Damon is sort of like taking down, dismantling his Stefan tracking closet. Elena's like showing up and she's like, hey, we can't give up on him. And Damon is doing his weird like eyes extremely open bullshit.
Yeah.
He's like, no, he's fucking lost. Just fucking give it up, Elena.
But she wouldn't have given up hope if he didn't call.
Exactly. So Elena's like, no, not today. This is an Elena episode because Elena is like, I'm gonna make shit happen. Fuck you all. We're making story happen today, baby. Welcome to Elena Gilbert's plot train. Full speed ahead. We are going. So she runs immediately over to Alaric's apartment where he's just sort of like passed out next to some whiskey because he's a sad alcoholic now.
Yep. With many dead girlfriends.
Truly just a harem of dead girlfriends. She is trying to get him to come with her to Tennessee to find Stefan, and Alaric sort of reveals that Klaus and Stefan have been tracking werewolves, which we sort of found out last episode, but this is good that now everybody knows. They're just all trying to track some werewolves.
And this is what you missed on Glee.
Oh, God.
Pretty much. These first few minutes are just exactly that's what you missed on Glee.
Yeah.
There's also a moment in here where Elena just straight up calls Alaric out. She just like...
She does.
Oh, yeah.
What did she say again? She's like... Oh, I can't even remember now. Does anyone else remember?
She has some... I don't have it written down. She has some really raw lines this season.
Yeah, she's
Elena gets real this season, and that's why I love her this season.
She just calls people out on her BS.
Yep.
She's like, fuck you. You made me deal with a house payment. You owe me now. Fuck you. So Alaric sort of like begrudgingly agrees to help her out in that. We cut to the mountains where Klaus and Stefan are just walking up to the mountains. Stefan is just carrying Ray's dead body casually on his back.
I mean, why not?
You know what? If you had to transport him some way, that's okay. That's like an okay mode of transport for poor dead Ray.
I would also say because he's, a vampire, he could super speed, he has super strength.
But they're just walking.
Nah.
Yeah.
They're taking the scenic route because it's very pretty Smoky Mountains.
They're like, yeah, sure, we just killed this person. And sure, they're on our back, but we gotta take the scenic route, you guys.
But guys, look how pretty nature is,
Also, we're participating in nature a little bit as well by killing him off. So,
except we kind of bastardized the circle of life by being vampires. But that's fine.
Right. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
Do all vampires... Hey guys, question.
Hi.
Yeah.
We've only seen city vampires thus far. Vampires in Mystic Falls, in other cities, whatever. We've only seen the city folk.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the real country ass yeehaw vampire?
That's a good question.
Alabama.
Because there's gotta be some vampire who is just fucking crazy about birds, and so they've dedicated their entire eternal life to finding and cataloging every type of bird. There has to be some weird bullshit birding vampire out in the fucking wilderness somewhere, but we only see the city boys.
I will say you're correct, especially because I remember last season we met a vampire who was really smart and just wanted to go to college their entire life as a vampire. And that's definitely very city,
Yeah.
But where are the small town, or not even small town, where are the rural folk?
Where's my yeehaw vampires?
They got their little...
Do we meet a country vampire? I don't think we do.
Because
wow.
I know in Buffy there's a country, a cowboy vampire, that hunts the Slayer, basically, and it's hilarious. But I don't think there is one in Vampire Diaries.
It would be so fun because it's such a fun
it would be.
aesthetic, and you can also totally hide in plain sight in a much smaller town than Mystic Falls. If your town, if there are 23 people total in your town that you live in, you could have them all under compulsion and just be good to go.
That is true. That would be such a cool idea. Them
Julie
going
Plec,
to like a
make it
rural
happen for
town.
Legacies.
Them going to a rural town and like it being like the majority of it being empty, but then just like meeting all these people. You're like, oh, look at these nice humans. Oh, actually, no, they're actually all compelled by this vampire. You know what? Another cool concept could be
Hit me with it.
if the vampire was doing like a cult like thing.
Also, just like vampires could pretty much take over and buy out little small towns, and then people would just have to like shut up and live with it.
Yeah.
I think this kind of happens later on in Vampire Diaries, but not the way that we wanted to.
Well, I know there's a moment where I think it's some vampire who shall not be named.
Season 7.
Like it also sort of happens with the Travelers. A little bit.
Yeah, and it also kind of happens with another character in season 4.
Yeah, the season 4 way is what I'm thinking, where like she's compelled a bunch of people.
Okay. Okay, that'd be fun.
But like, if your town is 23 people total, if your town is the size of my graduating high school class, you could just have a whole town, and that could just be your town, y'all. Where's my Yeehaw vampires? Give me like Vampire Brokeback Mountain. Like, let's yeehaw this shit, baby. Klaus and Stefan find a whole ass werewolf pack.
Yeah.
Like a whole commune of werewolves. Klaus also just super roasts Stefan's whole like self-loathing act, which I really appreciate. Because somebody needed to call him out for how righteous and pretentious he was getting. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but isn't that just Stefan's personality?
It is, but like
I feel like Klaus should have known that getting into anything with him, you know?
You're now my forever best friend, but I hate your entire deal. Your entire deal sucks.
Your entire personality sucks, but I guess we're like gonna be together forever now.
We're besties.
Besties forever.
Just
Can you please change your entire deal? Your whole thing change. So
my god.
The werewolves all seem to have mysteriously heard of Klaus. They just sort of scared, sort of little shaky, call him the hybrid.
Dun
dun dun.
Hey guys, don't you love when they do the thing where they mention the episode title in the episode?
Basically, I feel like this was a lazy move, you know? Because prior to this, for the most part, episodes are like, they're trying to be kind of fake deep, you know what I mean? But now they're just like, these are two words that happen in the episode, and also this kind of is the center of the episode. So let's make that the focus, shall we?
Like, they haven't previously tried any of this, basically. They're just like a lot of the episode titles in season 2, besides the ones that just have the, are pretty clever. But whenever you add the to an episode title, it's not usually good. There's one, maybe 2 episodes that I'm like, okay, yeah, these deserve to have the at the beginning. But if it's just the blank, that's not a good episode title. If it's the blank blank blank, then I'm like, okay, sure, you know, you got me. But if it's just the birthday, the hybrid, you've lost me.
You're lazy.
You're just lazy.
And can I also just say, both of these episodes, I said it before we were recording, were very lackluster. I'm just sensing like a lot of laziness from the writers right now. Because not only is the episode titled The Blank, but also the episode's kind of like not there, you know?
Yeah. These episodes, both of them, similarly, I don't love them for similar reasons. But let's just keep going and getting into it. So Klaus says my favorite villain line that he said thus far, when he's just like, "Oh, you've heard of me. Fantastic." Klaus, he's just such a fun, flirty villain. You know?
He really is.
Yeah.
I remember at this point watching it live, I absolutely hated him. Hated him. But now, now that I'm older and have grown, I love him as a villain.
Like, he's a great villain. He, like, has, like, great one-liners, and that's what really makes a good villain, in my opinion.
Honestly, yeah. If you can have a good snappy one-liner, you're good. So, at the Lockwood mansion, Carol is extreme early morning drinking.
Yes.
And she also pours some vervain into the coffee. Also,
I wonder why she did that.
I do have to ask, who the fuck serves coffee like that? Like, it's in a separate jug. Just, like, leave it in the fucking coffee pot.
Yeah.
What
are you in the 1900s, 1800s? I don't know what year.
I mean,
that
their house was built in the 1800s, probably. So
I guess, but stop being unnecessary.
Stop being extra. Carol Lockwood, stop being extra.
Very extra. But also, at this point, I was like, "Where is Caroline? I'm about to beat a bitch up." You know?
Oh, and that shall continue.
Ooh.
So Tyler takes some coffee, manages to drink it even with the vervain, but he's just like, man, your creamer sucks, Mom. You need to like get that shit. So weird little tidbit there of like a weird little like, hey, this is bad coffee moment. He doesn't like taste it or identify it as vervain, but like, you know,
he knows something's up.
You know, exactly. And Carol has a conversation on the phone with somebody named Bill.
From True Blood?
I don't watch True Blood, so I can't get that reference.
Yeah,
there was a vampire named Bill. There's a vampire named Bill, and he's like the main character. Okay, never mind.
You've watched a lot of vampire content, huh, Brian?
Want a spoiler? Vampires are my favorite mythical creature.
Oh no, I'm entirely not shocked by that information. Hey, if your name was Bill and you got turned into a vampire, you would change your name.
Change your name.
I would, 100%.
You would change your name. You got all of time to live with this now. You should change your name.
Just change your name.
Bill. So
there's also a part in this scene where Carol straight up calls Caroline a prostitute, and I'm like,
I don't appreciate that derogatory women against women attitude, you know?
I know. Thankfully, like Tyler is like, hello, you're not calling Caroline that, and I was like, thank you, Tyler, because I thought we were gonna have a problem here.
Also, it is so confusing when I was trying to write my notes. It is so fucking confusing to have two characters. One is named Carol and one is named Caroline.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah.
Try harder. There are other white person names available.
Karen.
Name one of them Beth. Yeah, problem solved.
That'll work. I would rather the mom be named Beth
than Carol. It's just like I kept catching myself accidentally typing Caroline instead of Carol and Carol instead of Caroline. I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah.
So
it's annoying.
Fuck that shit. We go to the Mystic Grill, where Matt is sort of like getting ready for work. Jeremy rolls up and he's like, hey, I did see Vicky the other night. Do you want to help me hold the seance?
I love season 1 Family Diaries.
Those who do not know the past are doomed to repeat it. The boys are gonna hold a seance, baby, because that turned out so well for the ladies the first time.
Well. I love how
really well.
I love how Jeremy's dating Bonnie and and just like chooses not to involve her in these things when it's clear that Bonnie would be very useful right now.
Bonnie's possibly the only person who could solve this problem like lickety split right now, but instead he's like, hey Matt, you want to hold a seance, bro?
The one time that they're like, you have Bonnie Bennett flex tape, use it, and Jeremy's like, nuh-uh.
No. I'm gonna hold a seance. Like, bro!
I mean, what has ever gone wrong during a seance?
Historically in the Vampire Diaries, pretty much everything. Not gonna lie, seances, very dangerous in the TVDU.
But very fun to watch.
Very fun to watch. Can't wait for this one to go haywire.
I also realized that like that Jeremy is only seeing supernatural creatures as like quote unquote ghosts, which is interesting.
That is interesting.
Because Vicky and Anna were both vampires instead of like not seeing his, for example, like his parents or
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I wonder why he's not seeing his parents.
Or like,
yeah,
I know there's
why.
probably a reason behind that.
Also, why
I know there.
Jenna not showing up?
Yeah,
she also
Ooh,
technically
where's
was supernatural at the
Jenna?
time of her death.
yeah, that
So
is
where's
true.
Jenna? Oh, it's a very interesting.
I don't like what you just did there.
Yeah, I don't either.
Okay, as long as we both don't feel good about it, that's okay.
Yeah, even after that, I was like,
I don't know. You're like, I don't know if that was the right choice.
I don't know if that was the
was
move,
not-
but that's okay.
that was not the move.
So Tyler also meets up with Elena at the Mystic Grill. And Tyler, by the way,
Yay.
is now a werewolf expert. Love that for him. He's just a good werewolf expert now. He's talking about how like some werewolves will gather in places where they don't need to chain themselves up. Instead, high up in the mountains where people aren't, gathering, forests, deserts, stuff like that. Which also, by the way, a desert sounds like the worst place in the world to be a werewolf.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does, honestly.
Straight up. All that sand in your fur? The little nitty-gritties between your paws and your little toe beans?
Like,
No,
as a
human,
I hate sand, So, the idea of being a werewolf and getting it everywhere, disgusting.
Like, not to, like, be too Anakin Skywalker here, but, like, sand fucking sucks.
Sand does suck. And let me just say right now, my peas on beaches, they suck. Alright? Beaches suck. They're not fun. It's hot, you're sweaty, and sand just gets everywhere. Alright?
But then imagine a beach, but worse because you're just in a desert. There's no water.
Exactly.
Like, why would a wolf want to be there? They got fur.
And then when they turn back into a human,
they're just like out in the hot sand. Their dick's just out in the sand. Like, bro.
That's just not a move. Not a move.
Not the move. But Tyler does manage to give Elena the location of a like pack of wolves that are in Tennessee, in the big Smoky Mountains. So
they're going to Dollywood.
They're going to Dollywood, baby. And it's not gonna work out for them because it is the night of a full moon. So like
nothing will go wrong.
It's not gonna work.
Everything will go wrong. Everything that could go wrong will go wrong. And the fact that it's that fate for them is sealed by the fact that Elena's like, oh, like we'll get out of the woods in time before the full moon happens, and you're just like, okay, Elena, sure.
Never in the history of anybody going into the woods has the phrase, I'm sure we'll get out of the woods in time, actually been true.
Yeah.
There's a whole musical about it.
Exactly. You ain't gonna get out of there with your baby and, the witch's, the princess's shoe or whatever in time.
The cow is white as milk.
Shut up, Ryan.
I love that musical. So
same.
I'm here for it.
I like that musical, but that's not the energy I'm about right now. So Elena is dragging Alaric along with it because he basically owes her. And Elena's like, well, you said I could handle this by myself now, so let me fucking handle it, Alaric. And Alaric says the line of, I meant frozen dinners and SATs, not this. Alaric, you sprung, like, house payments on her.
Yeah. Not only house payments, not only house payments, but also having to be in charge of her brother.
Also, like, just, like, running a household. Just, like, in general.
Bro. Jeremy's fine.
Jeremy's seeing fucking ghosts! He's not!
He's not!
Literally, he is not okay.
He's the opposite of okay.
So... fucking hell. Go back to the mountains. I do appreciate that a lot of this episode happens sort of like outside. Because sometimes I think everything just happens in a different, separate building in Mystic Falls, and that gets boring to me pretty quickly. I like a lot of the greenery we get here. It's fun. it's fresh. It's funky fresh.
I think like season 3, it's more outside.
Yeah. And I know that's probably because they deal more with werewolves and stuff, but I just like it. It's like, yeah, give me a little greenery here. Make everybody's skin look a little bit nicer. I love it.
Yeah.
So we go back to the mountains, where Klaus is basically trying to make a hybrid army, basically. Ray wakes up starting his vampire transition, and there is apparently like a boyfriend of one of the wolves who is there and is human, and so Klaus feeds him to Ray, and Klaus then begins feeding his blood to the other werewolves to kill them and basically raise an army. So I'm sure this little experiment is always going to go super well.
Yeah. I think we should all be afraid now because Klaus is making an army.
Pretty much, yeah.
And he's a villain. So the villain's making an army. Get really scared and frightened for our main characters.
And
should we though? I mean, we should.
We should. Klaus is on some real like active war shit right now, like some real Sun Tzu shit.
He really is.
Which you gotta appreciate, like a good tactician. You gotta appreciate it. You love a good, smart, bad guy.
But also, wait, is Sun Tzu the person who made The Art of War?
Yes.
I love how that's like, when I feel like in pop culture, it's like a joke to own The Art of War if you're a man, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Is that true?
I mean, it's some real white boy bullshit, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Which is exactly what Klaus is. Exactly, he's just an advanced white boy.
Exactly.
Klaus probably like helped write the book. Let's be real here.
That's also true. He has been around for a while.
Yeah. I mean, remember, he like participated in making a fake Aztec card.
Oh yeah.
Implanted shit in a bunch of different cultures over the world to try and get other people to find a fucking moonstone for him. So
he's just a shitty colonizer, honestly.
He really is. This whole show is about shitty colonizing. Let's be very real here. They're in Virginia.
Yeah.
Let's take a moment.
Let's process.
We got Roanoke, Jamestown. What else?
Exactly. So
process that.
We go back to the Mystic Grill for, thankfully, the last time this episode. What I like this episode is they get in and they get out of places. They're in the Mystic Grill for 2 scenes. They go back to the mountains. They go back to the Mystic Grill. They're done. So I really do. I really appreciate that, where they don't just keep going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Their secondary location changes, which I like. So Matt pours Tyler another cup of coffee because he's waiting for Tyler's just like waiting around for Caroline to meet him there. And Matt takes a drink of coffee again. It tastes like bad, like it did this morning. And Matt's like,
Tyler takes a drink.
Did I say
Tyler takes a drink?
You said Matt.
Who gives a fuck?
Honestly, I knew what you meant.
Who gives a fuck?
They're both good boys.
They're the boys. So one of the boys, the werewolf boy, takes a drink of the coffee. It's like, man, this fucking sucks. And that's like, yeah, it's the vervain. The sheriff has me slipping into the coffee sometimes. And which buck wild that the sheriff just asks somebody to slip something into a massive source of like water and, dining for the town, and he just does it.
Yeah.
Wild concept there that I don't really want to examine further. And then
kind of makes me think of the whole like cop saying that they were poisoned by Starbucks.
Oh yeah, the ones who were like, this Shake Shack is so bad it made me like, and then they were convinced they were poisoned by Shake Shack when really they just Shake Shack just sometimes is bad.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I don't know if you know this about fast food, but it's sometimes very bad.
It's fast food for a reason.
Exactly. Quick in, quick out, baby. Tyler sort of realizes then what happened this morning. He's like, why was my mom making me drink vervain first thing this morning? What the fuck? So as Tyler starts to puzzle out that line of thought, we go back to the Lockwood mansion and we meet Bill.
Yay!
Carol sort of reveals that she has been planning to take down Caroline for many months now, which is super fucking weird.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
She's sort of worried because like she's known Caroline her whole life. She's like, well, this is Caroline, Bill, you know. But Bill responds to, she's a vampire, Carol. We do what we have to do.
And
Which
that kind of logic is so stupid.
it's the next. I'm gonna say it just so folks know it. The next part of Bill's storyline and Caroline's storyline is super fucked up. Bill, done fucked up. But not quite yet. Now we're back to the mountains, where we have like.
Yes.
I love that we have sort of like a very extended mountain sequence here, because I love a good hike.
Yeah.
Me too.
So
I want to go on a hike again.
I want to go on a hike so bad. I miss going outdoors.
I miss the outside world.
Indoors.
My balcony has a bunch of wasps near it right now.
So do not go outside,
yeah,
please.
I can't go outside. I do not go outside. That door is closed and locked and will not be opened. Because who the fuck knows why there's so many goddamn wasps there? Anyway, you know where there's not wasps? I mean, I assume they are in the mountains, but there's not wasps here, folks. Elena is teasing Alaric for being like a Boy Scout / vampire hunter. She also gives...
Honestly, I expected nothing less from him.
Honestly, yeah. Like, he definitely was like an Eagle Scout, right?
Yeah.
100%.
So Elena gives Alaric the Gilbert ring to protect him from being killed by, you know, the pack of werewolves. Because technically the Gilbert ring won't work on her because she is technically supernatural in like the lamest way.
Yeah.
She's a supernatural occurrence.
That's a better way to describe it. Yeah.
Yeah, she's a supernatural occurrence. She's not supernatural, but she's an occurrence of being supernatural.
AKA the lamest way to be supernatural. It's like, sorry, you just happen to look exactly like somebody else. You can't come back from the dead then if you use this cool ring. Like, what the fuck? So they sort of take a break here. Damon shows up and throws Elena into the lake. Cool move, Damon.
I loved it, though. It was funny.
But, like...
so unnecessary.
Massively
it's unnecessary, but it's hilarious. It's hilarious, but unnecessary.
It's kind of like one of those things that Damon does, which happens a lot this episode, when you're like, yeah, Damon would do that. That's correct. On brand.
Also, it's wild to me that the Netflix description of this episode was so Damon-centric. But, like, this is the first time we sort of see Damon again, and it's, like, halfway through the episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, here he is again, folks. This is the first time we've seen him after the first 5 minutes of the episode. Now we're 23 minutes in, and he's back. Like, hey, Netflix description writer? Question mark?
Okay?
Are you okay?
So Damon reveals that Alaric told him where they were and that they needed, you know, some backup. Elena just refuses to get out of the water because she knows that if she gets out, Damon's not going to go. Damon's just going to haul her ass back to Mystic Falls and not respect her wishes. Again, shocking. Damon brings up we'll give points for this. Damon brings up the point that Klaus does think Elena's dead, and so keeping Elena like she's dead is good for her.
Yeah. I will say, though, while he said that, I was like, I think, what's her name? Catherine. I think Catherine, like, left the last season, right? At the end. She was like, I'm leaving for good. But, like, they really could use Elena as an advantage if Klaus thought that she was the doppelganger. You know?
What do you mean? If Klaus
like they say, like, oh, this isn't Elena, this is Catherine.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I'm saying, like, that could, I don't know if that could be technically, like, used for an advantage, but I think that's not, like, a bad thing, you know?
Yeah, I think it is just safer for right now for Klaus to believe Elena's dead. But also, what I
Yeah, no,
don't like,
definitely.
this whole scene and this whole show, I guess, really defines Elena via her relationships with men, via the fact that Klaus thinks that she's dead. And, like, if you were to write out a list of bullet points of, like, where Elena stands in this show right now, in love with Stefan, Damon is in love with her, Klaus thinks she's dead. It's all very much in relation to men, which I get. There's a lot of men on this show. But, like, damn, doesn't it ever get tiring to just hear women described as, like, in relation to where they stand with men?
Yeah, I think it happens to all the female characters on the show.
Oh,
A
yeah.
lot, like, all of them are in relation to men. None of them have, like, I think especially with Elena as one of the main protagonists, like, the main protagonist, is kind of unfortunate that she doesn't really have a huge personality outside of her relationship with men.
Yeah. It's just one of those reasons why this show sort of sits worse. It sits worse with me than the other shows of the Vampire Diaries universe because it is much more male-centric. And, like, I get, to an extent, like, the originals does this too, but there's a lot more women in that show as main characters that appear as main characters and have their own agency, whereas Elena's sense of agency is, like, only
it's
because
revolved around men.
It's men. Yeah, exactly. Like, I get it. But, like, also, God. And it's gonna become super fucking obvious because I don't know if we've talked about this, but, like, when we have to start sort of either going back and forth between the originals and TVD, or sort of watch a season of TVD and then a season of the originals, it's gonna become, the difference between these shows will become staggeringly apparent.
Yeah.
Watching them side by side is gonna be both a treat and also the worst thing we've ever done, and I cannot wait. I feel so bad for not liking Elena sometimes because I feel like I give her too much hate, but also the only way in which she is defined in this show is her relationships to men, and I hate that. So I feel like I don't hate Elena for Elena. I hate Elena for the relationships that she has and the relationships she is defined by. Does that make sense?
That's fair. Yeah. That's fair. Yeah.
She's by far one of the weakest female protagonists in the whole TVDU. By far, I think. Which, you know, rip. First try, you didn't quite get it. You got it on the second? Kinda. Third try, you really nailed it. But also, did you nail it? We'll talk about that one later, too. So,
like, years later, we'll come back to the specific conversation.
This specific one where we're like, legacies, man. They tried. And damn, the originals was much better than the Vampire Diaries. So where the fuck were we? Oh yeah, Damon sort of gives in to Elena's demands and is like, we just need to be out of the woods before the werewolves attack. Good fucking luck, folks. Again, not gonna show up well for you, because nothing ever goes right in the forest. So we cut back to the campsite. All of the werewolves are dead. We just, like, hard cut back, and they're just donezo.
It seems like a comedy cut.
It really does. So you just hard cut. They're dead. Stefan, sort of, like, curious as to why Klaus is building an army. Klaus states on some of, like, that art of war bullshit that he's building an army so that no one dares to mess with him. And Ray is just bleeding from his eyes.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure is normal. I'm sure it's fine.
100%. This is how you become a hybrid.
Definitely. The eye bleeding, definitely a pivotal part of the process. But Ray goes fucking rabid and bites Stefan and then yeets parkours his way out of this fucking woods.
The way he parkours out of the woods is so funny.
It's like,
he does like a flip.
Exactly. What is the point? Your energy economy there is so out of whack. Parkour is about, like, making that momentum work for you. There was no reason for you to do that flip, Ray. That was just for you.
That flip really got me. I was like, what was the reason? But also, I love it.
Absolutely useless, but so much fun.
Yeah.
So Stefan is sort of tracking Ray through the woods because Klaus isn't gonna fucking heal him until he brings Ray back, which douche move to do to your best friend, buddy. So
I'm starting to think they're not really best friends.
Starting to think they might not be besties. Heartbroken about this fact. Yeah. Heartbroken about this revelation.
I've been so many times, don't know who to believe.
So Stefan, though, overhears and sees Elena, Alaric, and Damon that are after them, and Klaus sort of like returns and like surveys his new army to see that like all of them are bleeding from their eyes, which again, very sure that is totally normal. And
that's the normal part of the process.
Absolutely just like a healthy part of becoming a hybrid.
Yeah.
Yep.
Back at the Lockwood mansion.
Yay.
I think I said it before, but I like that we get sort of like out of the Mystic Grill and we change our secondary location. Because right now our primary location is obviously the mountains. You change your secondary location now. It's, Lockwood Mansion and then later Matt's house. And it's just like, I like that they changed it up a little bit so that they're not just going back and forth between Lockwood Mansion, Mystic Grill. That's it. Because we had some episodes earlier that really just sort of like went back and forth. It's like, okay, guys, I get it. You needed to shoot in 3 locations, but at least make it fun. This makes it fun. Tyler is confronting his mom about the vervain coffee, and Carol reveals that she doesn't want Tyler to be with Caroline because she is a monster. Tyler's like, are you sure she's the only fucking one, Mom? Are you sure? Are you really sure about that, Carol?
Maybe you're the monster, Carol. Maybe you're the monster.
Oh, so we have sort of like a Frankenstein's monster situation where the monster is not Frankenstein's, was not the creation, it is Dr. Frankenstein himself.
Exactly.
Oh. Interesting.
And also, they're really continuing to hype up that whole Romeo and Juliet-esque thing that they have going on with Tyler and Caroline.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That was one of the big teases about season 3 was that they were going to have a Romeo and Juliet storyline.
Wait, straight up? Is that something they straight up teased, like, in those exact words?
Yeah, I remember them saying, like, they were teasing, like, Romeo and Juliet-esque kind of things with Caroline and Tyler.
Because we all know Romeo and Juliet, historically, turns out very well for both Romeo and Juliet and their families.
They die. They die.
They
all die.
They all live happily ever after.
They all die?
They all die. They
live happily ever after. Juliet
and death. You mean? Oh wait, you're talking about Afterlife Endgame, right?
You mean like as they're in heaven? You mean like
they're in
when
heaven.
they're at the pearly gates, just chilling with each other because they have both killed themselves?
Juliet's just like, the fuck, bro.
We fucking talked about this. I sent you a letter, man. He's like, I'm sorry, I can't fucking read. And then he just stabbed himself in the stomach or what the fuck ever.
He drank poison.
So are we now confirming that Julie Plec wrote Romeo and Juliet?
Is Julie Plec Shakespeare? Much to think about, folks.
I mean, she does love Afterlife Endgame a lot, so...
Julie Plec is Shakespeare? Real proof, not clickbait. 3 emojis at the end of this title that is all in caps. I have proof. You know, when you think about it, that might not be as big of a leap as you think it is, because
it's not.
Shakespeare just wrote plays that had like dick jokes and like poor, like for like poor people, and Julie Plec wrote The Vampire Diaries. So very similar, like conceptually, pretty much on the same wavelength there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. It's believable. That's a theory we could totally hype up as a podcast. Actually, let's make that an actual theory. Let's make that a rumor.
Julie Plec is Shakespeare.
Julie Plec is Shakespeare. I love when fandoms start fake rumors. So let's start that rumor, you guys.
We are starting that one here today.
Is Shakespeare.
This podcast episode is titled Julie Plec Shakespeare. Parentheses, not clickbait. I love bad YouTube titles so goddamn much. Not clickbait, true story. Will make you cry. Like, fuck yeah, okay. I'm clicking on that video right away. I mean, here's the thing. You ready? You ready for this one?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody has seen Julie Plec or Shakespeare in the same room.
I'm
Oh,
just
fuck.
saying.
I'm just saying,
I'm just
y'all.
saying.
Oh, fuck.
You know,
Oh,
also
shit.
fact. Wait, when is Shakespeare alive? Real quick.
Like the 1500s,
Yeah,
1600s.
like
Julie Plec loves writing about the past.
Huh?
She loves writing about the past. Shakespeare was born in the past. There's some connection within the past.
Shakespeare was born in the past.
Okay, yeah, okay, sure. All right.
Connect
yeah,
the dots.
Shakespeare
Connect the
was
dots. Connect the dots.
Everyone was born in the past, technically.
Well, yeah, but what I mean is like really in the past, like 1500s.
Okay.
Yeah, Shakespeare was born in like the 1560s, died in the 1616s.
I mean, died ? Julie Plec loves writing about vampires who were born in the 1800s.
Shakespeare's a vampire, and Shakespeare was actually a woman named Julie Plec.
I mean, it could be real. Just saying.
Hey guys, what's your favorite Shakespeare line? Because mine is exit pursued by bear. What's your favorite Shakespeare line?
I thought you were to say a stage direction. I was like, your favorite one's a stage direction?
Yeah, it is. It's exit pursued by bear.
That would require me.
Oh, it is. Oh.
You fucking idiot.
I am an idiot.
That would require me to remember any of Shakespeare, and I remember none of it.
I do like the witch's rap from Macbeth.
Okay.
Bubble, bubble, toil and trouble, because iconic classic.
Iconic.
And I do love Never Was a Story of More Woe Than This of Juliet and Her Romeo.
Ooh, true. I also like, there's also something from The Merchant of Venice, which I really like, is that like, you know, like love is blind and lovers cannot see. I love that.
Ooh.
I love that one.
How do you guys memorize that?
When did we become a Shakespeare podcast?
When did we become a Shakespeare podcast? But I kind of love it.
I have a question. How did you guys memorize that? Because I think I just blocked out all of 10th grade when we went through Shakespeare.
Oh, I love Shakespeare.
I think I kind of enjoyed it, but also 10th grade was a bad year.
That's fair. I only really remember Shakespeare because my English teacher showed us what was that fucking like 90s Baz Luhrmann version of Romeo and Juliet? The one where they kept all of the the one where they kept all of the sort of like the sonnets and everything, but they just put them into into like the 90s. That was so fucking fun. That is absolutely one of the best adaptations of Shakespeare's work because it's so fucking wild. Mercutio's like a drag queen. It's so much fun.
Oh yeah. Oh, I need to watch that movie again.
I watched so many adaptations of Shakespeare growing up, and I can't remember like any of the important lines. I can only soak in like the main plot of any Shakespeare thing, but I can't remember any of the lines.
I remember there's a Macbeth version, like it takes place during like World War II or World War I. It was like a TV version of it, but it has like Patrick Stewart in it, and he's Macbeth, and the witches are like nurses. And like they're like performing an autopsy while doing like that bubble bubble toil and trouble thing, and I was like, and it's epic. I'll send a link later. It's like a full on rap, and it's awesome.
My favorite Shakespeare adaptation is 10 Things I Hate About You.
Ooh, also fair.
It's so good. It's one of my favorite movies ever. I can watch that movie over and over again. It makes me laugh every time.
That's fair. Also, one other really great Shakespeare line is in it's in one of the Richards. Where he just yells, a horse, my kingdom for a horse. That line always shows up in Sid Meier's Civilization, which is one of my favorite games of all time. And every time that line shows up, I just have to yell it along with it. It's such a good fucking line. He just yells, a horse, my kingdom for a horse. That's such a dumb shit line.
I guess we should get back to talking about
yeah, we should probably
this dumb piece.
My favorite Shakespeare play is The Vampire Diaries.
It's some Shakespearean bullshit. I mean, we're gonna have to brush up on our Shakespeare before we start watching the originals, because that is basically that entire thing is just Shakespeare and just monologue.
Oh fuck, it kind of is.
Further confirming my point, Julie Plec is Shakespeare.
Also, fuck, what play is Legacies? Oh, Midsummer's Dream.
It's absolutely no, actually. It's just the Baz Luhrmann adaptation of Romeo and Juliet. where they're just all funky, fresh, in modern clothes, but still saying sonnets like it's 1583. We're in the mountains where the squad is continuing their hunt for Stefan. Ray manages to find them and is gonna fucking chow down on Damon, but they manage to take him out with a Wolfsbane grenade. And after taking him down, they sort of realize that like he's a hybrid.
Dun, dun, dun. I also love that Elena threw Damon the grenade. Like she could have gotten blown up in that instant, but no, she was like, yeet.
Also, Damon and Elena, their fucking bickering in this episode is so goddamn annoying.
Yeah.
I loved it though. It was funny.
No, they're like children and it's so annoying.
Like, okay.
It's annoying, but I loved it.
Okay. I get it. And like, I too also bicker playfully with the people I like. But this?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't even seem like fun bickering. You know? There's a difference between banter and like they're like in between the line of banter and actually not liking one another. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Like they're like on a fine line between that. And
they're on the wrong side of that line.
Exactly.
We cut to Matt's house, which Jeremy and Matt are in the garage of Matt's house where all of Vicky's stuff is. Also, we do have to again remember this is just like Matt's whole ass house.
Mm-hmm.
Like straight up.
This entire garage.
He has a whole house.
Somehow he's able to afford it.
Somehow, which I don't understand, but that's okay.
He gets really good tips.
I guess. Wait, is Matt Donovan a sugar baby?
Oh, 100%.
In my head, I was seeing him more as a male stripper.
But like, that's too active for Matt, I think. Not like active in like a active sense, because he's, you know, an athlete. He can do that. That's too actively degrading for Matt. Matt would go for a sort of like, I think Matt Donovan's a sugar baby.
All right.
Matt Donovan's
I'll go with it.
Sugar baby Matt Donovan. So Matt is sort of like starting to help Jeremy go through Vicky's stuff because again, y'all, they are going to perform a seance because that has worked so well in the past for everybody involved.
Yeah.
So
wait. Mm-hmm. Does Jeremy not know that seances don't usually end well? I feel like he knows that.
No.
Because
he probably knows that.
Wasn't it last season that him and Bonnie were in that like house and they had like a semi-seance with people like witches from the past?
With the dead witches. I forgot about that.
Yes. But Jeremy is a dumb bitch who never learns.
Okay, great. Glad we're all on the same page about that.
Yeah, Jeremy's a dumb boy, but we love him.
He's sort of dumb, but that's okay. Because you know what? Me too, dude. I'm also sort of dumb, and that's okay. Yeah. So Matt eventually he decides that like I can't fucking do this, dude. So he sort of like just like makes Jeremy out of there, or get out of there, and sets an old picture of him and Vicky face down on the table. As he sort of like turns around to sulk and leave, there's a faint click from behind him, and the picture has set itself up.
And that's creepy.
Spooky.
That's normal.
Yeah.
Spooky.
It's spooky.
So spooky shit's afoot, y'all. Spooky shit's afoot. Back in the mountains, the squad is tying up Ray with vervain ropes. They're trying to sort of like get answers from him, but in the middle of the day, without any help of the full moon, Ray starts to turn into a vampire.
Werewolf.
Fuck.
I mean, you're half right.
Fuck. How did I bungle that one?
It's okay. We still love you.
I think it's because I was looking at the word vervain, honestly. And so I was like, vervain, vampires, perfect. Wow.
It's okay. It's okay.
Really bungled that one, huh?
It's okay. It happens.
Man, I'm fucking tired.
It's okay.
I'm real fucking tired.
We're almost there. We're almost there. We got this.
We're almost there.
We're almost.
Does anybody want to take the last half of this episode?
I can take it. Let me just pull up the little...
Take the hosting duties.
Okay.
Ray is turning into a werewolf without the assistance of the full moon. Just sort of out here in front of God and everyone. Just turning into a fucking werewolf. So it is time for our little trio to yeet themselves out of here. So
yeah, basically.
They start running back at the camp.
Running.
Back at the camp, Klaus murders the sort of loose-in human boyfriend. Rip that unnamed human boyfriend.
Let's call him Chad.
Chad, rip Chad. And he sort of looks around, and I think at this point Klaus realizes something's fucked up.
Something's going wrong.
Because all of his hybrids are just sort of walking around like zombies with bleeding eyes. Which, for the record, terrifying.
Also,
that's always a good sign.
I love how he didn't think, oh, let me not turn all of them at once. Let me only turn some of them just in case something goes wrong. He's just like, no, I fully am confident in my plan. Let's do it.
But, like, also, it should objectively have worked.
I guess.
Yeah.
But also...
I mean, yes.
Like, it
also
should have
take precautions.
It should have
worked. Also take precautions.
But Ray had started going crazy before he started murdering everybody else, too. So,
exactly. Also that.
I see Klaus's point of view, but I also see what happened with Ray 5 minutes before he started murdering everybody else, and I go, there may be a connection.
Maybe I don't know. Take some time. Take a breath or two. Don't rush into things. That's on him. And only on him.
This one's on Klaus.
Exactly.
So the Mountains trio here is running away from Ray. In true horror movie fashion, the woman trips. Elena trips, and they all sort of like stop moving. And Elena looks up, and she is face to face with a full-ass werewolf.
It's kind of freaky. It's kind of scary.
It's kind of scary, but like also such a cool moment.
Yeah.
It really is. It's a cute puppy.
If it kind of looks like the poster of a movie or a book, you know?
It sort of looks like
Twilight.
There was some promotional image for Twilight that I think looked a lot like that. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
Probably.
Because I swear to God there was. So there's always that.
But then Damon decides that he has to save Elena per usual, as Damon does. So he tries to lure the wolf away. And he runs away.
And he just yeets himself out of there. And then Alaric, in actually good Alaric fashion, is like, no, we need to go. We need to get our ass out of here.
Smart,
and
because
running.
It's just so stupid.
All I can think of was that Nicki Minaj song.
Yeah, okay. Sure.
Yeah,
that's what this entire episode feels like to me.
Yeah, you could do that with a lot of things. You can do that with the whole Ray doing a flip for no reason.
Yeah. Oh, I love acrobatic werewolves.
There's just no reason. But I love it.
Oh, me too.
Okay.
Anyway, what happens next?
So now we cut to the Lockwood cellar, and I feel like there's been a lot of time that has passed between this scene and like the scene that happens. Like, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is the scenes don't feel like too cut close together, you know? Because I feel like sometimes the problems that TVD has is that it feels like things are happening that should be happening like all together at once. are like being cut up into multiple scenes, and it makes no sense for it to be cut up into multiple scenes. You could have just stayed there for the entire scene and then moved on to the next one.
It does seem, now that you mention it, does seem a little weird.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm just here for the ride.
But like they're trying to paint them as continuitous, but
we're back in the Lockwood cellar and the full moon is rising.
Mm-hmm.
And Tyler basically at this point is like trying to convince his mom to like, you know, not do anything bad to Caroline because his mom called Caroline a monster. So he's basically trying to say, look, I'm also a monster, so you're gonna have to deal with me being a monster. So he kind of like forces her into the Lockwood cellar, forces her to like go off into that side that's kind of like gated off from the rest of it, and then chains himself up as he starts to transform into a werewolf.
Just like right in front of his mom.
Can you imagine that? Like watching your own child like watch their bones be broke.
Mm-hmm.
I can't talk today. Watch their bones be breaking, basically. Bones be breaking.
Bones be breaking, baby.
Bones be breaking.
Bones being
and like
broken.
and not being able to do anything to save them. Like, oh,
that would be heartbreaking.
Imagine, like,
that's why she's just like
that would be
losing her shit there.
But also the question is, right? Earlier she put vervain in his coffee to see if he was
willingly gonna let him drink vervain if he was a vampire.
Not only that, but it seemed like she was prepared for him to be a vampire and then do something about it, you know? Well, now
I think she just wanted to make sure like nothing had happened to him.
Yeah, well, with now it's kind of like she's kind of like freaking out, which yeah, fine, sure, that makes sense. But also, you were just prepared for him being a vampire and like doing something about it. You know what I mean?
But she wasn't prepared for him being a werewolf.
I get that, but honestly, kind of same difference. Tyler's just trying to prove to his mom in this scene that he's also a monster, so he shouldn't be treating Caroline this way. And my question is, if at that point she had, like, let's say that Tyler was a vampire, he drank the vervain coffee and then reacted to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
At that point, what was she going to do? Was she going to still call Bill?
What's she gonna do?
Like,
who knows?
Because after this scene, she then goes on, so she's like, okay, understand, let me not do anything to Caroline. But like, if he was a vampire before, would you have still done something to Caroline? Like, is it the fact that he's just not a vampire but he's this other thing, or is it the fact that that monsters in general are kind of just like the same? Like, I don't know.
No, but that is like, yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah, I actually didn't think about that.
It's just kind of confusing.
Yeah, no, that is definitely fucking weird. Because, like, I don't know. Yeah. No, that's
Carol,
weird.
what is your motives?
Carol, what you doing right now, girl? I don't think she knows what the fuck she doing right now, honestly.
Yeah.
All right. So there's just some shit happening here.
Yeah, correct. And then we cut back to the mountains.
Back up in the mountains, baby.
Back up in the mountains.
Yeehaw!
There's too many yeehaw people on this podcast.
It's literally just me. I am the only one who is from the middle of the country. Brian's a fake ass yeehaw.
I'm also a fake ass yeehaw.
I'm a transplant into Florida.
I
made the long pilgrimage down from Massachusetts to Florida.
I was just really into pop country and had a cowboy boot and cowboy hats in middle school and the beginning of high school.
I was born in Nebraska.
God.
That is my claim to yeehawadom. I was born in fucking Nebraska.
We're back up in the mountains.
Yeehaw.
Damon is wandering around. And then is about to be attacked by Ray, because Ray just comes out of nowhere and is about to go full on bite Damon.
He's about to fuck Damon's shit up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then Stefan comes out of somewhere. I don't know where he comes out of, the darkness.
Stage left.
And he comes in and rips Ray's heart right out.
Just like
there's gonna be
does not care. No hesitation. Just out of your chest comes your heart. Goodbye.
But
Good night,
also,
sir.
There's gonna be a lot of heart ripping out this season.
I mean, yeah, it seems like we're getting to that point. There was like a couple heart rippings last season, but now we're starting off with them strong, right, in the second episode.
Yeah.
But so I think something that's really pivotal about this is the fact that Stefan told Klaus that he was gonna bring Ray back, you know? That was like so that he could so that Klaus could give him the cure for his werewolf life. So like Stefan has now done that and saved Damon at the risk of his own life. I don't think Damon knows fully that because Stefan hasn't told him that, but Damon just does recognize that Stefan has come and like saved his life.
Yeah.
So then eventually um oh yeah, and also Stefan says that Damon tells Stefan that the reason that they're there is because Elena wanted to not give up on him, and then Stefan's like, you need to tell her to give up because I'm staying here for good, you know?
And
Uh
he's never coming home.
yeah.
Rip.
I mean, do we really believe him on
Very
that
echoing
though?
back like the last episode, like he's not coming back in your lifetime.
Yeah, but here's the thing with this, I guess scene in general, is that because we just established this last season, this is why I feel like this episode kind of sucks. Is because it feels like we don't go anywhere, right? We've already established last episode that Stefan has already said I'm not coming back, so leave me here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in the last episode, Damon goes after him, and then Stefan's like, kill someone so that Damon leaves him alone, right? Then this episode, they do the exact same thing, but now Elena is involved, right? And for some reason, because Elena is involved in this whole thing, and Damon also gets saved, which wow, Damon, this all hinged on your brother saving you. Like it's kind of feels like it's very self important to him. Like whether or not he saves Stefan depends on whether or not Stefan does something good for him, which is wild because that's your brother.
Oh
But
shit, you're right though. You're
um,
right.
but like they've done the same thing where they've just gone to try to save Stefan again, even though they just did that last episode, but now with Elena, and now that Elena is also kind of involved in this, now that they're really gonna try to save Stefan, which is like, okay, like we could have done this last episode, like what was
Yeah,
the
they do seem
reason?
to sort of like circle, not like, it's like they're sort of circling the drain here, not
Yeah.
in like a shitty way, in just like a, yeah, we've gone over this point, let's go over it again, but now with Elena. Like,
Yeah, and it kind of looks like maybe you're trying to do a cool parallel, but the cool things about parallels is that there's space in between them.
you know how the rule of threes works when you take a pause between the things?
Yeah.
You can't just say one joke 3 times in a row right after each other. You got to give it some time to sort of really marinate and come back to it.
Exactly.
They don't give it
And
any time to marinate and come back.
They didn't do any of that at all.
Also, the boys constantly just like refer to Elena like an object and not like she's her own ass person. And I'm just so tired.
It's
I
annoying.
know this show came out in fucking 2011, 2012, what the fuck ever, right?
Mm-hmm.
We should have been better than this.
I agree.
We should have been better at this on a female-led show.
Yeah.
With a female showrunner and a lot of female writers. We should have been better than this, ladies.
That is the wild part about this.
Like, we sort of get... Let's get feminist here for a second, right?
Yeah.
We get used to women being referred to... Don't me.
I'm joking.
We get used to... I mean, even as women, right? We get used to women being referred to as objects so much because it happens all the goddamn time in a bunch of little ways that you just normalize it within yourself, right?
Yeah.
And like even I struggle sometimes of like being like, no, I'm like when I'm writing female characters, I'm like, okay, well, they are their own characters with their own senses of agency, and they, they do not just exist in relation to their relationships to other people. They exist because they exist, because they are people.
Correct. Yeah.
It's just like really annoying because women in this show are treated so much as like they only exist because of their relationships to other people and because other people need them to exist. They don't exist because they're people who exist. Does that make sense? And like a lot of the ways the Salvatore brothers refer to Elena is just a lot of like, well, she's an object. She exists because of her relationship to me. It's a little bit like babies with object permanence. Like if Elena is out of their sight, they just forget she exists.
Yeah.
And it's just so goddamn annoying. Like, we should, ladies, men, everyone else in between, we should be better than this. As people who consume media, and we should be better than this, y'all.
We need to be critical of storylines where women are indeed just objects. Like, especially because I feel like the big flaw of the Vampire Diary is that the Vampire Diaries is that a lot of the female characters are kind of touted as these strong, independent women for the modern era, and then they're just not. Like, that's a lie.
It also, I feel like the Vampire Diaries really kind of shot itself in the foot here, and this is about to get really meta, right? This is about to be overview story meta bullshit here. I feel like the Vampire Diaries really shot itself in the foot by making Elena a doppelganger, because she only exists, and she's only supernatural, and she's only special just because she's a doppelganger. So the only reason she's special is because of the value she has to other people. That's effectively what a doppelganger is. It's a supernatural occurrence that is just valuable to some people. Like valuable to Klaus or valuable to, whomever. That's wild. And I feel like they shot themselves in the foot by making Elena valuable in that way. Whereas I liked her more season 1, where she wasn't sort of valuable in that way. She was just Elena,
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm not going to step down from my soapbox because that wasn't a soapbox. That was just my feet. So let's go back to the fucking the mountains again. Still, I think we're still in the mountains, right?
We're still in the mountains.
Yeah.
We're so Stefan says that Elena needs to let him go for good. And then we see Alaric and Elena.
Sorry, did you say Alaric? Alaric.
Alaric. His name is Alaric. How dare you?
My mind is not working 100%. Okay, it's very hot.
Do you want me to take over now?
No, I got it.
I got it. Potatoing this bullshit around. Let's go, baby.
Take the hosting.
All right. So we have Alaric and Elena, and they're in the car.
There we go.
And they're waiting for Damon. Right?
Waiting for Damon.
You're just gonna overstate their names.
Damon.
Yes, Damon.
I sound like a frog. Damon.
Okay. So Elena is with Alaric, and they're talking in the car. And Elena basically convinces Alaric that he needs to stay in their life as a parental figure.
Good.
Yeah.
And he keeps the ring.
Kick his ass, Elena. Fuck yeah.
Honestly, yeah. I'm here for that, because Alaric needs to get his life together.
He does.
He does.
So then Damon returns from the woods, and while he gets to the car, Stefan is just like watching them from above, and Elena thinks she sees him, but then he's gone. And then they leave.
A single tear escapes Brian's eye, and he wipes it away wistfully.
Yep. Basically, because I'm just like, Stefan, Elena's right there. Go.
But he can't. He's on some self-sacrificing martyr bullshit. Let's go.
Oh, God.
All right.
Why do we gotta pick the martyrs?
I don't know, but this show really fucking knows how to pick them, huh?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's like the strong like thread that ties all of the TBTU together. There's just a whole bunch of martyrs.
It's just a bunch of fucking martyrs.
No, I'm gonna die for you. No, I'm gonna die for you.
No,
No,
I'm
gonna
die
die
for you,
motherfucker.
Okay.
So I hate it here.
Now we're back at the Gilbert house, and Matt, for some reason, knocks on the door and has a 6-pack with him. Which, let me remind you, Matt's a senior. Jeremy, I think, is like a sophomore, and he's shown up to their house with the 6-pack. The fact that Alaric thinks that Jeremy and Elena will be fine on their own sounds incorrect.
Also,
just ignore it. It happens.
How did Matt get a 6-pack?
How did Matt get a 6-pack?
Don't ask questions.
So many questions.
I don't want to ask questions, but I unfortunately still have them.
Matt has brought along Vicky's things, and they're talking about death and Vicky's death and their memories before Vicky died. And then out of nowhere, Vicky appears.
Also, let's not skip over this, because Jeremy and Matt reveal that neither of them remember what their last moments with Vicky were before she was a vampire.
Oh, yeah.
Elena just had the boys take those away.
Wiped.
That is incredibly cruel.
Yeah.
Unbelievably cruel. Like,
Elena did some questionable stuff.
Like, I know she objectively did it out of a good place of, like, not wanting Jeremy to hurt or whatever. Cruel
but
as
now
fuck.
He can't even go back to that memory.
Yeah. Like, just
like,
imagine.
That's a whole part of the grieving process, you know?
Yeah, like, imagine if there was somebody near to you who died and you couldn't remember your last moments or your last conversations with them. Not because, you know, they just weren't significant to you, but because somebody literally took those memories away.
Yeah.
It's just sad.
Bonkers.
So sad.
Just fucking bonkers. Anyway, sorry, Vicky's here now.
Yeah, Vicky appears. And Matt's like, is she here? And Jeremy's like, yeah. And then Vicky says, I can come back. And you're like, what?
Dun dun dun.
And then their conversation is over. And then out of nowhere, Anna comes back. And she says, she breaks a window. And you're like, what the fuck?
Why not?
And then she says, you can't trust Vicky.
Oh, why can't we trust Vicky?
And you're like, what is going on here? I
love it. Because, like, so Vicky says her thing, and then she disappears. And then the window breaks, and then Anna says her thing. I like to imagine there was a little ghost tussle. And just, they just broke a window. Like, there had to have been, like, you can't tell which one of them broke a window, but this is also really the first major ghostly interaction with the human, with the world. Because, like, yeah, Vicky turned up the photo, you know, that sort of thing. That's fine. A window breaking takes some fucking effort, y'all.
But also, it's so interesting, because then you're just like, they're slowly being able more and more to interact with, like, the realm, the world.
They're gaining power. Right, I almost wonder if, you know, what Jeremy did, you know, with taking strong artifacts of Vicky's, has sort of given her more power.
Maybe just also
exactly.
Or I'm even thinking all those things combined with the fact that it's just been a longer and longer time since Jeremy has come back from the dead.
Also that too. You know, just time, man.
Like maybe like the more time he spends here that he's not supposed to be here, the more that they'll bother him. Now we cut back to the mountains.
I love these mountain pets, man. I love a good mountain.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, who doesn't?
Love a good mountain.
So we're back in the mountains, and Stefan comes back with a dead Ray, right? And Klaus says, "Rip Ray." Also, rip Ray's entire pack because they're all dead. Klaus's plan has failed.
They really done fucked up.
Dun dun dun.
All those wolves, they're dead. And now we revealed important information that makes it clear why these didn't work out. Klaus says, I did everything right. I killed a werewolf, a vampire, and a doppelganger. And that is, folks, is where the problem lies. Because
you can almost see him start to like figure it out. Yeah, you can see there is a flicker of like something there, but he covers it up pretty quickly, and then he's like, Stefan, you're my only comrade I have left. Which
and it kind of feels like he's trying to read Stefan to see if Stefan knows something he doesn't.
Exactly.
Yeah. He's trying to see if Stefan will break, but he doesn't.
Yeah.
He also does heal Stefan in this scene.
Yeah, he does heal.
Yeah.
He drops his blood into a dirty beer bottle.
Oh, it's so gross.
And he's like, drink it, bud. Drink up. It's just
cracking up one cold one with the boys.
Cracking open some cold blood with the boys. The other thing about this scene that I did notice is Klaus is just a really skinny white boy. There was something about the shirt he was wearing in this episode as he like turns to walk away through the trees that you can really see he's just a skinny white boy. Like his arms are thin as fuck. He does not Joseph Morgan has not hired his trainer yet. He just looks real skinny. I don't know what it was about that like shot of him like walking away through the trees that made me realize like he's just a skinny boy.
He's a skinny boy.
He's just a skinny boy.
He's a skinny boy.
Don't say it like that. Stop.
No.
Stop.
No.
We don't fucking woobify men in this household.
I love my life.
The more tired we get, the more wacky.
This is gonna be a Wacky Tuesday podcast, huh, gang?
Yeah.
Wacky Tuesday.
Wacky. Whoa. You heard it here first.
Okay, so now we're back at the Gilbert house.
Yes.
And this is the scene that is the worst scene out of this entire episode.
Absolutely.
Let me just say. The worst scene. The worst scene.
I liked it though.
I'm not surprised, Brian. I'm not surprised you like this scene while me and B hated it. Okay? There's so much to unpack. Let's talk about it. So we have Damon waiting in Elena's room. Right? He's staring wistfully out the window like he's some sort of, I don't know, thinker, but he's not. So and then we have
he tries really hard to pull up like the imagery of like, you know, that one Greek statue of like the thinking man.
Yeah. That's it. He's trying to do that, but he's giving off thinking emoji vibes, you know?
He's just the thinking emoji, but also if it was wearing like a fucking dunce cap.
Exactly.
Anyway, sorry, continue.
And Damon explains to Elena after she walks into the room that he's not gonna let Stefan die. He's gonna not give up on Stefan because Stefan saved Damon. Which, again, that's your brother. You should be willing to go after him for anything. He did that for you. So it's really weird that it took him saving you for you to go back and say, you know what, maybe we should give it another shot to try to save him. You know what I mean?
I will say, though, in Damon's defense, though, considering the last episode, he just saw Stefan, who he has never seen, basically kill someone innocently, like, that was innocent and not deserving of it.
What do you mean? Like, Stefan has done that.
No, but not, like, in a while, though. Like, it's been a hot minute since Stefan's killed anybody.
I mean, I guess, but also Elena also knows that and still decided not to give up on Stefan.
That's true, but it also kind of mirrors because Stefan also kind of gave up on Damon in the beginning. Not recently, but like in the past, whenever Damon's gone off the rails. So Damon kind of thought the same thing, like he's gone. But whatever.
Also, isn't it wild now how technically Damon and Stefan have switched positions, but it still feels like Damon is the same person?
Isn't it wild how the show is trying to make us think that all this character growth has happened, but in reality, Damon is still being the same shitty boy that he was?
Yeah, wild how that's happening right in front of our eyes.
It's like Here's the thing. It's like Stefan never really like gave up on Damon at the beginning of the show, right? If we're gonna make this argument here, right? Stefan never really gave up on Damon. He had the chance to kill Damon. He didn't. He never gave up on getting Damon back. Damon dropped Stefan like a sack of moldy potatoes.
Just after the first try. Like one try, and he was like, okay, I'm done.
Like, Damon killed Vicky and brought her back as a vampire. Cool. Bad. But happened. And Stefan was still like, no, I'm gonna bring you back. Come on, don't worry about it. I got you. I love you. Stefan, although he does just straight up murder Damon's girlfriend, who wasn't really his girlfriend because, again, she was compelled the entire time. Not great. Did murder Andy. And then Damon's like, all right, yeet.
Like Damon has done so many bad things to the point where if Stefan kills your sort of girlfriend, not actually your girlfriend, you can be upset, but you've done way worse. So you have no ground to stand on. There's no reason for you to still not going out after Stefan.
It's just, it feels so hypocritical to me.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fair.
And then after he says his little piece, he insists that Elena tells him why she wanted them to leave the mountain so badly. And Elena reveals that it's because she was worried about Damon. This part of the scene in my opinion felt so forced and
manipulative,
so bad. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just because when that initial scene happened, I was when like Elena was like, we have to go, and then Damon's still for some reason pushing on Ray, and then she like continues like to like say we have to go, and then eventually they leave, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was at that point where I was like, what is going on? This feels really off, because number one, why is Damon like holding Ray like that? Like, what is the reason of the scene, right? It felt like the scene had some type of purpose, but it didn't come across very clearly, you know? And then it was later on in the episode, they were like, hey, remember that scene that happened? This is why it happened, and we're gonna explain it to you instead of showing it to you in that exact scene.
But also, like, the way he sort of like forces her to like tell him why she wanted to leave the mountain. There were a bunch of fucking werewolves and it was getting dark.
Yeah.
You should have been wanting to leave the mountain too, dumbass.
Yeah.
Like,
and then
what the fuck?
And to top it all off, they have this stupid music playing in the background that's supposed to make me feel something, but I don't feel anything.
And then Damon's like, I want you to remember how you feel when Stefan is gone, when he comes
back.
That
made me want to puke so bad. I'm not kidding. When he said that,
just so...
It made me feel sick.
Manipulative. This whole scene felt so manipulative. And
like, I know, like, we're on the Damon hate train, and there's gonna be a lot of people who probably say, oh, you're kind of tainted, like, you can't see these like Delena scenes as like for what they are because you're kind of tainted by whatever, Delena, you know what I mean?
Who gives a shit? It's a made-up name and made-up word.
Exactly.
This is funny.
They're gonna be like, oh, like, you're kind of tainted by your hate for Damon, so like of course you're not gonna see like the quote-unquote romance behind this, but there is no actual romance behind this. It feels gross to watch.
And also, like, here's the thing. We are taking these words at the face value. We're not twisting his words or anything. This is just what he's saying. Mm-hmm. He's like, you wanted to leave the mountain. Why? Why'd you want to leave the fucking mountain? Well, Damon, there was a pack of fucking werewolves. To the best you all knew, there was a pack of rabid werewolves. And you should have wanted to leave there too.
And that's why that scene felt so out of place, because it's like, why is this happening, right? The initial scene where he's like holding Ray against a tree, right? Like, okay, like, get out of there. Like, I don't know why we're focusing in on this moment. And it felt like they purposely put that in there so that they can address it later and have some sort of way to admit that Elena sometimes cares for Damon. And it just felt very forced, and it felt very like manipulative and wrong. And I didn't like it. I didn't have a good time watching it. I felt kind of grossed out by watching it. Like, I'm not kidding. In my notes, I think I say, ew, I'm gonna puke.
I literally just have that, like, this whole scene feels manipulative, because that's what it is, really.
Yeah.
Like, ugh, just gross. I know you liked it, but
we know you
and
liked
then there's
it.
me just like, Listen, Damon's not my favorite character, but I will say season 3 Damon is my favorite. Damon.
If this is the best it ever gets, I want a
Yikes.
refund.
Yeah, same.
Damon does some good things, but like I just love this season because again, the best the love triangle's ever been. It's Elena without like in a relationship. She's single and it's just I don't know. I just like
there's something about
I just
Damon.
like the love triangle stuff this season.
There's something about Damon saying, I want you to remember how this feels when Stefan wasn't here for when I bring back Stefan, like I want you to remember how this feeling. Like the way he said that made me feel gross. The whole backdrop of they're trying to save Stefan in this moment, and this is what Damon is saying to Elena while they're in the works of trying to save Stefan. You know, that also rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah.
Because like you're going. No, go ahead.
The way he says, like, I want you to remember this when I bring Stefan back. Homie, you fully gave up on him. Like, you were on this train 20 minutes ago. Like, I get now you're all aboard and you're the new fucking conductor and all that yeehaw shit. Bro.
It screams major ego problems where, like, everything has to be about me and, like, pay attention to me.
Damon? Ego? Never.
Never.
Anyway, we'll step off of that one for now because we will have a lot more time to complain about Damon this season. We're gonna go to the Lockwood cellar, where Tyler wakes up from after his transformation, and Carol is sitting there, sort of probably in shell shock horror.
Yeah,
because she just saw her son turn into a wolf.
Oh God!
Like,
I feel for her,
bro. She has had the worst day.
But also, I think it's really funny how her name is Carol. And you know, usually Caroline is with him when he's transforming. You know, little wordplay there. We have Carol substituting for Caroline because Carol has kidnapped Caroline.
Wow, that's a fucking tongue twister, huh? That's like a tongue twister of bullshit right there.
Yeah.
I know. I hate her so much. So she's gonna try and, you know, make sure nothing happens to Caroline. But next morning, she makes a phone call to this Bill guy again to try and save Caroline. And he reveals that he knows more about this and that he's gonna take care of it. It's like, you married into this. I've been doing this my whole life. Which, I don't like this guy. I really don't like
him either. I don't like him either.
So,
and the worst part is, we'll talk about it after.
So
this reveal
sucks.
After this reveal, I hate it here. Say the thing.
We are in a prison cell, deep underground, because there's like rocks and shit on the walls. Caroline is awake and chained to a chair. Which also, was Caroline just out for like a full ass 2 days?
Like, how much vervain was in there?
God, fucking Carol knocked her out with a fucking elephant trank there. Jesus Christ. But
I would assume like she probably had like a steady flow of vervain going through her system until Bill decided. Pop.
Yeah, but still. Damn, bitch. Fucking get a tiger trank in that motherfucker, apparently. So the door to the prison cell opens, and Bill walks in. Caroline just looks at him, and is just like, "Daddy?" Which,
and then you're like,
hate that.
You're like, what?
So Bill is Caroline's father.
Gay father.
Her gay dad.
This is our first gay character on the vamp. Wait, is it?
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
And you know what?
God,
and you know what? Maybe I'm okay with a little homophobia.
Maybe I'm just a little homophobic now.
Oh, I am so homophobic towards Bill Forbes.
Maybe it's stronger now. Like, maybe like before we were like talking about like the connection between being a vampire and being gay. And now I'm just here for pure homophobia against this man.
Oh, you're about to see it get twisted on its head.
Oh, it's so...
Oh. It's scary.
It's the next episode, y'all. I'm just gonna say this now. The next episode, the end of the affair, huge trigger warning for like conversion therapy, basically. Like vampire conversion therapy. It's bad. If that bothers you even a little bit, if you think that might bother you, skip this next episode. Straight up. Skip it.
Yeah.
It's the problem that
a gay man is doing what is effectively vampire conversion therapy on his daughter. Do you want to try and spin that good? Y'all, Friday's gonna be a real humdinger, huh?
Remember how...
Don't worry, Claire Holt's gonna be there.
Remember how I've said in the beginning of the episode how Fridays are usually like, woohoo, chaos. I was wrong.
This one's gonna be a bit deep.
This one's gonna be chaos, but we're also gonna take a few moments and just be like, y'all. I'm gonna say y'all a lot, because that's my stress word now. Y'all. Hey, Jordan.
Yeah?
How do you want to rank episode 302, The Hybrid?
Oh, okay. This episode, I said it before before we started recording, it felt very meh.
It felt like a lot happened, but not a lot happened because they just sort of treaded on the same ground they did last episode.
Yeah, it felt useless. Other than the point of, like, I don't know, giving Damon a reason to continue fighting for Stefan because he can't do it just because it's his brother. But a lot of nothing happened, especially with the fact that the last episode, the cliffhanger was Caroline being shot with her vein, and we didn't figure out what happened to her until the last moments of this episode. You know, like, just time was not used well at all in this episode. Also, they had that whole entire Damon scene with Elena, and I hated that scene. It made me feel very gross inside. I just didn't like this episode.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know don't know if we want to give it a 7 because I didn't even have a good time. Like, there's no, like, points in this episode where I'm like, oh, that was really good that they did that. Because everything was kind of like meh, or I didn't like it. I think I'm going to give this a 5.
You're giving it a 5. Okay. Brian, what are you ranking this episode?
I'm going to go 6.
6?
This isn't my favorite episode of The Vampire Diaries
also
at all.
Low.
And it's honestly one of those, like, episodes that I'm like, I forget about. I'm like, oh yeah, Klaus did that. It's just Klaus did that. Klaus did this.
Also
okay,
the fact that, like, Klaus, like, tries to do this thing, and we get this really cool information that he needs to actually kill the doppelganger to make hybrids, but also it's done in, like, such a long-winded out way that it kind of felt like we were all building up to him, like, getting this army and things being more, like, the stakes being higher, and then nothing happened.
And then they fucked it up.
Yeah.
They really were, like, driving us towards a cliff, and then they just really hit the brakes.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, actually, no.
Yeah, but it just makes me upset because, like, I know, like, the rest of the season, like, I thoroughly enjoyed this season.
Not a hot start for season 3, I'm not gonna lie to you.
No. And it's ironically one of my favorite seasons, and it's actually my favorite season.
Next episode starts to get a little buck wild and introduces... Ironically, next episode is going to be a real mixed bag for me because it introduces one of my favorite characters, but also does everything else. So, real mixed bag of emotions.
I will say, aside from that one thing, the next episode really kicks us into gear of season 3.
Okay.
It's so sad that it takes 3 episodes to really get going.
Especially because how the season 2 finale went.
Yeah.
It just, like, if I was watching this live, literally the next episode would be
make or break.
My final straw. It'd be make or break, and then I'd be...
And honestly, it saved the season 3 for me. Because it kind of gave a clear focus of where we were going.
Okay.
Y'all, I'm looking at this episode.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I can give it a 5.
Yeah. I'm also starting to rethink my
Like,
rating.
I don't know if I can say
going a
this
little
episode
lower.
was okay.
Yeah.
Because it was a
There was
lot of...
nothing good about it.
It didn't really move any storyline forward in a conducive way. More so than we saw them start in motion in the first episode. Right? Like, it didn't... Like, things happened. Did
But
that
were they
move the stories
useful?
forward?
Like I can deal with story not being moved forward if like something else interesting happens, you know? Maybe something interesting like a character happens, you know? Or maybe there was like some cool like horror shot that I was like, "Oh, that was really good." Nothing good happened this episode.
The only thing I liked about this episode and that I thought was interesting and moved the story forward in a good way is Tyler and his mom.
Yeah.
And
But that was also so minor.
less than 5 minutes of screen time total.
Yeah.
Honestly, what the fuck am I gonna give this?
I would like to change mine.
A 10.
What are you gonna change your rating to, Jordan?
I'm bumping it down to a 4. I'm just realizing how much I hate this episode.
I'm looking back at past rankings for season 1 and season 2.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at what I ranked the bad episodes. And I'm trying to see if this one is worse than any of the other bad episodes.
This is not episode 2 for me of season 2. Episode 2, season 2, mwah.
Like
chef's
like
kiss.
I do think this has been one of the worst episodes because there's nothing really.
Yeah, this is one of my least favorite.
There's
episodes.
nothing really redeemable about it.
Like of all Vampire Diaries, this is one of my least favorite episodes because it's one that I was just like, okay, it happened. Next,
I'm gonna give this episode a 2.
Yeah, go for it.
Which is the lowest ranking we have given any episode of the Vampire Diaries thus far.
And I agree with that.
This is the lowest I think I've ever ranked an episode. I think.
The question is,
I think so.
Is there another episode of the Vampire Diaries that would be worse than this, you think? Because then I might go as low as you because
there are definitely episodes that are worse than this.
Okay.
But I am just thinking right now, here's honestly, Jordan, here's what did it for me. I ranked Isabel, the penultimate episode of season 1, at a 3.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You gave it a 5. Lane Morgan, who's on that episode, gave it a 4.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Lane.
Hey, this episode feels worse than that, and
so then you have to rank it lower.
It feels worse than like Bloodlines or my worst episode of season 2, which is As I Lay Dying, which is a 4. So
you have to go lower.
It makes sense to me, right? Like this one is worse than Isabel, so I'm giving it a 2.
Yeah.
That's just I cannot go any higher than a 2, honestly.
Yeah. Makes sense.
I couldn't. Are you gonna lower your rating again, or are you gonna stick with that 4?
I think I'm gonna stick with, if there's a worse episode than this one, I'll stick with a 4.
Okay. Yeah, there's definitely worse episodes than this. Yeah, dude. This episode is not great.
So bad.
It's weird, like I used the circling the bowl analogy earlier, but it really does feel like we just circled around everything we talked about in episode 301 just slightly differently. The only like new thing that happened, I mean, obviously is like fucking all that shit. Like it was new shit that happened, but it served the same purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Just absolutely wild.
It also felt like,
I will say,
I was just gonna say, it also felt like this all could have just been episode 1. Like we could have gotten this over and done with in episode 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't need to be a 2-parter.
I will say though, like I will admit, when I watched this live for the first time, like these first 2 episodes, season 3 felt different. It didn't feel like the show that I watched beforehand.
Yeah, no, it definitely feels different. Like
it doesn't feel like Vampire Diaries right
it
now.
doesn't.
But then but episode 3 really picks up and gets back into that like it gets like, it feels like the vampire, like it feels like Julie Plec kind of really realized like, okay, let's kick it into high gear now. Let's go.
It felt like we're in a sophomore slump, honestly.
Yeah,
like episode 1 and 2 was like the freshman year, the freshman album is pretty good. End of season 2, beginning of season 3 here feels like the sophomore slump.
Yeah, and it honestly feels like they have not reeled back from the season 2 finale where things were just weird. Like something, I don't know what happened in that writer's room, but something happened at the end of season 2.
They
and
had
it just
some
carried on.
they got some bad shrooms.
Yeah. And it just carried on into season 3 premiere and the next episode after that. Like something bad went on in that room. I don't know what. I don't know. Maybe somebody left and was replaced in that writer's room. I don't know what happened.
Join us on Friday as we talk about episode 303, The End of the Affair. But if you do need to skip it, y'all, no shame.
That's fine.
Do it. Skip it.
No shame. I understand why you need
We'll
to skip
be back on next Tuesday then if you want to skip the next one. But if you don't want to, if you're fucking down for it and if you're feeling up to it, The End of the Affair, we're going to be talking about that one on Friday. So follow us on Twitter at Afterbite Pod to get the newest updates on when we are releasing episodes, as well as some fun memes and shit. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. It really does help us out more than you know. And, follow us on Spotify. We're on all your podcast apps. If you want to find where we are on your podcast app, go to afterbite.fm anchor.fm/afterbite. You try doing this outro quickly, Brian.
I know. It was funny.
And you can find information on all of the podcast platforms at anchor.fm/afterbite. And if you want to leave us a voice message to tell us how wrong we are that the hybrid was actually a very good episode, feel free to do so there. Until then, stay inside, stay safe, wash your fucking hands, and also while you're at it, defund the police, folks. Get in contact with your local defund the police.
My election is actually happening on Tuesday, so
vote. Also register to vote.